r/Neckbeardstories by Redmond Detis. Living with two neckbeards and a legbeard. Part 7. The Aftermath. Hello again Reddit peoples. Sorry for the delay with this post. Things have been pretty hectic at home lately. A close relative had a bit of a medical scare, so helping them out has been taking up most of my time. Parts 1 to 6. Video links in the description. Bit of a trigger warning here. There's mentions of child abuse in this post. They are just mentioned and are absolutely not explicit in any way, and I cannot stress this enough, they are entirely made up. They were made up by a disturbed individual in order to try and ruin someone else's life, but if anything like that upsets you, please don't read. There's also a few threats and false accusations. Just in case. So, after escaping the absolute hellhole that was the neckbeard nest, Carrie and I thought that life would be a lot easier. As it turns out, we were wrong. For the first week or so after we'd moved out, Carrie and I had been receiving at least a dozen or so texts per day from Mike and Janice, asking us when we planned to go back to the flat. This pair couldn't seem to wrap their heads around the fact that we never planned to move back with them. We had told them this countless times and they just would not listen to us. We also got a good few pissed off texts from Declan, as it turns out Mike and Janice wouldn't be able to afford to keep him for free after we'd moved out, with him losing his benefits and everything. And Declan had his little heart set on not having to find a job. He was also pissed off that we changed our Netflix password and locked him out. The messages from Mike and Janice weren't pissed off to start with. They were still calling us by pet names and generally speaking to us as if we were their partners. They'd even tried to bribe us to come back, telling them that they'd buy new furniture to replace the stuff they'd ruined with their lack of hygiene, as if the hygiene was the only reason we'd left, not like they were harassing us or anything. About a week after we'd move out of the neckbeard nest, Carrie had a run-in with Mike and Janice in HMV. I wasn't there to see this mess, but Carrie was all too happy to fill me in on the details. Carrie and her auntie are really close and have a set day every week where they just go into the town for some lunch and to do a bit of shopping. They decided to have a wee look around HMV cause Carrie needed some new posters. About 10 minutes into her search for the perfect posters, Carrie felt someone staring at her. Lo and behold, Mike was standing a couple aisles over, just staring. When he locked eyes with Carrie, he just kind of awkwardly waved. Carrie pretended that she hadn't seen him and immediately started talking to her aunt to avoid having to speak to him. As I'm sure you all expected, the ignoring tactic didn't work. Mike had decided that since Carrie hadn't waved back at him, then clearly it was just because she hadn't seen him, not like he made her uncomfortable or anything. So he decided that the best course of action was to shout over to her to get her attention. Something along the lines of, "Alright hen, how you keeping?" Again, Carrie ignored him. Around this time, Janice emerged from one of the further away aisles and just glared daggers at Moira, clearly not understanding that she was Carrie's auntie. Mike tried a couple more times to get Carrie's attention, but she ignored him, picked out a few posters and let her auntie steer her over to the till to pay, and put a bit of distance between them and Mike. Now, Moira doesn't take any BS. If Mike had tried to follow them, she'd have smacked him in the non-existent teeth. Also completely unrelated to the story, but I asked Moira what fake name I should give her for this post and she told me to keep her real name because she's a tough old bitch and she'll be getting the grandkids to check that I did it. So yeah, go Moira I guess. Anyway, they pay for the posters and when they are done, they turn to leave. Moira had said something along the lines of, "Okay beautiful, let's go and grab some lunch," which really pissed the beards off, judging by the texts I got the next night, though Mike thought she called her gorgeous, so clearly someone didn't have their listening ears on. At this, Janice decided that she had to do something, because God forbid Moira speak to her niece, and thought the best course of action was to get close to Carrie as she was leaving, grab the hem of her dress, almost lifting up Carrie's dress in the process, and tell her how beautiful the dress was. Carrie had been wearing a just above knee length dress and, since it was a nice day, opted to not wear and leggings tights underneath. Basically, Janice almost flashed the entire shop. As you can imagine, Carrie and Moira were not happy. Carrie snatched her dress out of Janice's grasp and just walked away. It was either an attempt to get Carrie to give them the attention they desperately craved. Negative attention is better than no attention, right, or she just genuinely didn't understand how inappropriate her actions were. Either way, Carrie had no intention of acknowledging them, it'd only give them what they wanted. Moira told Janice something along the lines of "keep your grubby hands off my niece, yeah horrible reboot," and they left. Carrie received a whole bunch of texts from Janice that night from her alternate account, after Carrie blocked her main account and Mike's account. She had about 15 missed calls from her and over 30 messages. Needless to say, Carrie quickly blocked this account too. Since Carrie deleted her old Facebook account, for unrelated reasons, we couldn't find the messages that Janice had sent her, but they essentially started with Janice trying to justify her behavior and blaming her actions on the fact that she was just stressed with everything going on, us moving out. When Carrie didn't answer, Janice just got more and more aggressive. She didn't explicitly insult Carrie, but she had no issues calling Moira all the names under the sun and telling Carrie that she needed to come back home because she was just so worried about us. Mike also tried to justify his and Janice's disgusting behavior when he messaged me that night. The only reason I hadn't blocked Mike by this point was because we had to sort some stuff out about the flat, because our landlord was a bit of a dong. He messaged me regarding some things about the flat the next night and I responded with one-word answers. The screenshots have been linked in this post so you guys can read them for yourselves if you want. If not, basically he tried to act as if Carrie and I were in the wrong for being pissed off with them, tried to call me a whole bunch of times. They were literally a few minutes apart, man. Clearly I wasn't going to pick up, and even went as far as threatening my dad. This is where the warnings in the beginning really kick in. But, again, I cannot stress this enough, no actually child abuse took place. These were just a bunch of lies that these horrible people have admitted aren't true. And I will not be going into detail about what these wastes of oxygen said. But if this bothers you in the slightest, please don't read. So, this is a bit of context because this was pretty much the Beards' focus after we moved out and they decided to spread it everywhere to try and cause us hassle. My dad was accused of some disgusting things. Technically, he's my stepdad. Biological dad left before I was born, but he's raised me since I was a bairn. He also has 3 kids from a previous marriage that he still helped raise even after his divorce, as he should. I'm gonna call the kids Lewis, Isla and Grace. Lewis and Grace are really nice people and I get on brilliantly with both of them, but Isla has always been something of a spoiled brat. I remember when I was about 6 or so, she told me that my dad wasn't my real dad and that he was stuck raising me because my real dad had run away. She was 17 when she said that. Not really important, but it shows what kind of person she is. Anyway, Isla had been caught stealing from her mum and was told she was no longer welcome until she got herself in order. She ran crying to my dad for help with money and he told her that he wasn't giving her any more money. He was okay with babysitting her little boy, Simon, for her while she went to work, but he wasn't going to just give her money anymore. Isla was perfectly capable of working and dad wasn't exactly rich. This worked out for a few weeks until Isla decided she couldn't be bothered working and decided to try and steal from my mum's purse. She got caught and my dad told her he'd had enough and told her she could find someone else to babysit, cause he was done helping her. Isla decided to go to the police and accuse my dad of abusing her as a child. I have literally no idea how she went from being upset that she'd been told she wouldn't be getting any more free babysitting to accusing him of something so disgusting, but she went for it. She told a bunch of people about it, but nothing else was said about it for a good few weeks. Until she got 2 of her cousins involved and, because it was their word against dad's, he was found guilty. There was a whole lot of legal drama and stuff, but eventually dad got out, though a lot of damage had already been done. This lot even had the audacity to laugh about how they'd screwed up my dad's life and bragged about the money they got. They'd openly admitted it wasn't true and had asked their siblings to get involved in their lie, which they refused because they are not scumbags. Also, I don't have a kid, but I imagine that if my dad had done what he was accused of, I'd never let my kid anywhere near him. Either Isla doesn't give a crap about her wee boy or she's full of it. So why was this important? Because the Beards wanted to hurt Carrie and I for moving out and figured that the best way to do that would be to go after my dad. He's like a second dad to Carrie too. Not too long after I moved back in with my dad, the posts started. Mike and Janice felt that it was their duty to take to Facebook and expose my dad. Janice had made several posts about how my dad had brainwashed me and kept referring to me as a sweet boy. This isn't unusual for Janice. Anyone that's more than a couple months younger than her is instantly a wee boy or wee girl. We'd blocked them pretty much everywhere online, so she decided to use this as a way to gain sympathy votes and started begging people to share her posts or message us for them just to make sure we were okay. Mike had decided to take another approach, and after sharing several posts about how child abusers should get the death sentence, making his opinions about my dad and what he'd been accused of very clear, he decided that the best course of action was to announce my dad's name and address on a Facebook post. Thankfully, this was one of the only times we actually contacted the police, and they essentially told us that if Mike didn't take the post down then we could pursue legal action. We passed this information on to Mike through a mutual friend and he did take it down. We got really lucky, as the majority of people where we stay know that my dad did nothing wrong and they had his back. Plus, any of Mike's friends that had threatened to do something didn't even live in the country, so we didn't have any hassle brought to the door. Around the time that all of the drama with the Facebook posts were going on, both Mike and Declan had threatened to show up at the house with baseball bats, and I was an absolute nervous wreck. Not that I thought Mike would do anything, he's far too lazy for that, but honestly, I never knew what to expect with Declan. It got so bad that a friend of myself and Carrie's, Craig, decided to take it upon himself to message Declan about his behavior. Yes, he did swear at Declan, but Craig was always raised to be very confrontational. His parents weren't very nice, and he was, and still is, fiercely protective of his family and friends. The messages didn't really do much to deter Declan. He instead argued with Craig and then wound up blocking him so Craig couldn't argue back. Declan had also decided to spread rumors that Craig's girlfriend was only with him because Declan didn't want her, and that he could just snap his fingers and she'd jump at the chance to be with a real man, because it's not like she has standards or a sense of smell. He went out of his way to try and noise Craig up. I'm guessing he was hoping Craig would hit him so he could get him in trouble with the police. Thankfully though, Craig didn't take the bait. That's really all that I have to say about this. I wish I could post that there was some big battle and we victorious, defeating the neckbeards and sending them back to whatever goblin infested cavern they crawled out from, but it didn't happen. We just blocked them everywhere online and tried to ignore them as best we could. They'd still post things about us, mainly about backstabbing friends, and continued to spread the rumors about my dad. This was mainly Declan. I think he was trying to impress Isla, but after a while you just learn to block them out. There were a good few minor confrontations after the big fallout, and we'll still occasionally hear from mutual friends that they've been bitching about us. I might make another post about these when I have more free time. I don't know yet. I actually found out a few weeks ago that Declan is working in Tesco. He had to serve us at the till and it bloody killed him to have to be civil with us. Guessing the job center weren't kidding when they told him he needed to find a job. I just feel bad for the people working with him. His hygiene hasn't improved at all. As far as Mike and Janice go, we haven't heard from or seen either of them for a good while, but I assume they are still living in their nuclear wasteland, pissing in bottles and neglecting the shower. As for myself and Carrie, we're living in a nice, clean new flat, enjoying a neckbeard and legbeard free existence. There's a link to the screenshots below if anyone is interested. There should have been more, but I haven't had much time to myself to sort through them all, so they might be added to a future post, if I make one. I know this isn't the epic end to this tale that a lot of people might have been hoping for, but here it is. Mike. Warning to everyone living in and in the surrounding area. Dad's name, a predator, has been released from prison and is now staying at Dad's address. This man destroyed 4 innocent lives and will continue to ruin more if he is given the chance. Please be safe out there. We saw Carrie in the town yesterday and she completely blanked us. You's pretending we don't exist anymore? Why? Janice said she's sorry about yesterday. That's nice. That's all you have to say? Seriously? Look, I'm no angry, just answer. Janice is crying. She misses Yaus. Not my problem. Well, she's crying cause of you, so is your problem. We had a talk and were happy to let Yaus come back. Answer your phone. I know you're awake. I can see you're active. It was a f***ing dress. Are me and Janice no allowed to be nice anymore? We miss you, can carry and. She didn't mind getting called gorgeous by that f***ing skank in HMV. We're not moving back with you pair. And that f***ing skank was her auntie Moira, yeah, absolute fud. I don't give a who she was. Well, I don't want you living with a beast. Well, good job, I'm not living with a beast, I'm living with my dad. He is a f***ing beast. Declan said he's going to batter his head in with a baseball bat the next time he sees him. And Declan will get a boot in the stones if he f***ing tries it. We're just looking out for you. We care about you. Janice said we can even get the new fridge if that what youse really need. We didn't move out because of the fridge. We moved out because of Ulitas. Why? Mike, I am not having this conversation with you again. I just want to talk this through. We didn't have a conversation and Yaus didn't explain anything. Me and Carrie told you exactly why we moved out. You and Janice were completely inappropriate and we got sick of walking on eggshells around Declan. What exactly did we do that was inappropriate? What, we're no allowed to pursue a relationship? We were being inclusive. Most folk wouldn't be interested in a no, not with people who have made it clear 100 f***ing times that they're not interested. Wow, really? What? Using that word now, are we? Don't be a snowflake. I don't see slur as a bad word. Well, Carrie f***ing does. Well, I'm no talking to her, so it's fine. God, it's like arguing with a bloody ween. Do you want to come bowling with us on Wednesday? So we can talk about all of this and sort out living arrangements. There's nothing to sort out. We're not living with you three anymore. But we want you to move back. Tough. Can you tell Carrie to unblock me? Might be able to have an adult conversation with her. F off. Declan's messages to Craig. Listen mate, you need to give it a rest. OP is in absolute state right now because of Yaus and I f***ing had it. He doesn't want anything to do with your brother. Carrie doesn't want anything to do with your brother. F***ing pack it on with the threats. And what are you going to do about it? You Ned. I'll kick your f***ing head in. Mate, you couldn't hit water if you fell out of a f***ing boat. Clearly you've no heard enough about me then. Little boy. Run along now. Punching holes in Neckbeard's mom's walls and door doesn't count, big yin. Stay the f*** away, Dromopi and Carrie. And tell your asshole of a brother that he better take those f***ing posts about Op's dad down. Comprehend? Yeah, f***ing dick. Oh, are you gonna defend a beast now? He isn't a beast and you f***ing know that. Just trying to impress Isla. F***ing pathetic. Me and my brother are gonna come to the beast's house the night with baseball bats. See who's the big man then. It's not to impress Isla. Mike just doesn't want his best pal staying with a perv. Or I big man. Cause you cannot fight without a weapon. You come near that house and they've been told to phone the police. Yeah, cause you're too scared to fight the both of us. Or no, I'll batter the f***ing pair of youse if you come anywhere near. Typical Ned. Are you even able to have a conversation with people without threatening them? Pathetic. That's all folks. Thank you for watching. If you like videos like this one, why not like and subscribe for more? Have a nice evening.